This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. The stagecoach to Salt Lake City crested a small rise between rocky outcroppings. 4 hidden bandits opened fire with bullets and shotgun pellets. The lead horses fell, causing the stagecoach to crash against the rocks. The stage toppled onto one side, and the rear horses scrambled up again. 2 unmasked bandits emerged from the rocks, weapons ready, but their attack was complete. 4 passengers were dead, 2 were dazed, the shotgun guard was dead, and the driver was slightly wounded and semi-conscious. The burly, black-bearded bandit leader ordered the gang's horses brought in. They looted over $100,000 in gold from the passengers and another $80,000 in coins, raw gold, and bullion from the express box. Lacking extra horses to carry the loot, they loaded it onto their saddle horses, slowing them down. They considered using the stage horses, but abandoned the idea as the animals would be recognized. After half an hour, the gang rode north. The holdup occurred 4 miles above McCammon, Idaho, on the Portneuf River, soon known as Robber's Roost. Once the bandits left, the driver recovered and helped the dazed passengers. The leader was Tom Updike, he said. They found 3 rideable horses and set out for McCammon, then just a stage station. Arriving at sundown, they found a crowd of prospectors and freighters. Preparations to pursue the bandits began immediately. Updike and Guinness were notorious bandits, and their attack wasn't surprising. "This will be their last job," vowed a posse member. That night, 20 armed men camped at the holdup scene. The driver helped repair the stage by firelight, and they drove it to the station. The 5 bodies were buried elsewhere, their location now unknown. At daylight, the posse picked up the bandits' trail, following it quickly. The gang left the stage road near what is now Incom, heading north through the mountains. They stopped briefly to rest their tired horses near Fort Hall. The posse found this campsite by sunset and continued tracking through the night, resuming at first light. The posse soon realized the gang was making slower progress and was only a few hours ahead. Confident they would soon catch the outlaws, the posse hurried on. After crossing the Snake River below Idaho Falls, the trail led them west of Market Lake, Roberts. Despite their proximity to the gang, they had to camp a second night without catching them, halting just above Godden Station, now Territon. Scouts found nothing until near daylight, when they saw faint smoke over the edge of Mud Lake, a short distance north. Quickly mounting, the posse raced toward the smoke before sunrise. By then, the bandits' horses were so exhausted they could only walk. Believing themselves safe, the outlaws were surprised by the sudden arrival of the posse. The bandits hastily mounted their already saddled horses and fled, but bullets whistling around them made escape doubtful. As the posse closed in, they saw the bandits throwing sacks or parcels into the lake. Riding close to the water's edge, the bandits tossed more objects in, lightening their saddles for a desperate run west. The posse, on fresher horses, gained on them. 2 gang members were shot dead, falling from their saddles. Updike and Guinness in the lead escaped into the lava badlands and disappeared. Despite efforts to find them, the posse eventually gave up. Returning to the bandit camp after midday, the posse argued about whether the sacks were thrown into the lake off a projecting point or slightly beyond it. None of the sacks were found. They had sunk instantly, likely containing the stage loot. After thoroughly inspecting the shallow shoreline with no results, some posse members believed the loot had been buried en route to Mud Lake or near the final camp, as the weight of the gold would have burdened the horses. However, most believed the loot was in the lake, thrown in by the bandits hoping to retrieve it later. Since that day in 1865, many tales have persisted about the vanished loot in Mud Lake. The surviving bandits never returned for it. Updike was caught in another robbery in Boise Basin and hanged less than 3 months later. Guinness met his end in a shooting brawl in Virginia City, Montana. The details of the robbery and pursuit are well documented, but the final scene is set in a surreal landscape of natural wonders. This volcanic field, with its disappearing rivers and creeks, caves, and basalt formations, seems designed to guard lost treasure forever. In Idaho Falls, Roberts, and the dying town of Territon, Many stories circulate about the lost gold. Mud Lake itself is a curiosity, with cracks through which its waters disappear, gradually shrinking over the years. Into the lake vanishes the considerable annual outpourings of Camas Creek. In the years following the robbery, several men made half-hearted attempts to find the treasure. In 1885, B.C. Nettleson began a systematic search, spending over 20 years looking for the loot. He eliminated many potential hiding spots and focused on a cattail-covered area by the lake. However, after boasting about his imminent success in a saloon, Nettleson was confronted by two armed men claiming the gold belonged to the express company. Suspecting they were outlaws, Nettleson played it safe. The next morning, Nettleson returned to the lake before dawn, hiding his rifle nearby. When the two men arrived, he pretended to give up the search. They watched him closely, but he didn't reveal his discovery. After Nettleson left, the men, dressed in old clothes and hip boots, searched the lake for 3 days without success. Nettleson kept watch and ensured they left the area. Returning to his search, Nettleson couldn't relocate the object he had found. Frustrated, he spent the fall hunting and prospecting in Boise Basin. In 1892, he met Duncan, a strong worker who joined him in the search. They continued probing different points of the lake. When Nettleson's gold ran out, Duncan grub-staked them, and they became well known in the area for their quest. Others occasionally tried to find the treasure, but most didn't persist. One year, Nettleson and Duncan prospected in Boise Basin and returned to Mud Lake with their findings. Nettleson, aging and slightly crippled, died on the Salmon River in the winter. Duncan returned to Mud Lake in 1896 and found a group uncovering an area they believed was once underwater. They explained that the lake had been receding, and the spot they were digging was likely where the gold had been thrown. Duncan knew the lake was shrinking, and that dry seasons left former mudflats permanently exposed. The point Nettleson believed held the treasure was over one of the deeper holes in the lake and never dried up. Duncan thought the new project there was a waste of time. His judgment was confirmed when the treasure hunters reached bedrock, finding only volcanic deposits instead of gold. Disappointed, the hunters left, but they were soon replaced by others, often disguised as duck hunters. These duck hunters arrived with wagons full of camping and treasure hunting equipment. They shot a few ducks and poked around the shallow waters, but it was clear their main interest was searching for gold. The lake was teeming with waterfowl, and the cattails provided cover for predatory animals, including bold lynx cats that invaded Duncan's camp. Duncan avoided other treasure hunters, working mostly in the early spring and summer when he wasn't being watched. The lure of the vanished gold was too deep in his blood to ignore. Sometimes he had to take jobs to earn money for his searches, but he always turned down offers of financial help. In June 1901, Duncan searched Nettleson's old point for the 50th time. The water was only about 6 inches deep until it dropped sharply into a deeper hole. Probing with a steel rod, he hit an obstruction. Assuming it was just another stone, he dug it out and discovered an oblong, heavy object covered in black mud. It was a bar of solid gold. Making sure he wasn't being watched, Duncan buried the bar under the ashes of his campfire. That afternoon, he found 2 more bars, smaller than the first. Despite days of eager searching, he found no more gold. He created a small circular dike to pan the mud but found nothing valuable. To conceal his method, he replanted the cleared areas with cattails. When other hunters showed up in the fall, Duncan left for Roberts, riding his burro and armed with his rifle. He moved on to Idaho Falls without delay. After taking a day coach to Boise, he sold the 3 bars for just under $25,000. At 38 years old, Duncan wrestled with whether to invest the money or continue hunting for the Mud Lake gold. In the end, Duncan bought a farm in the Snake River Valley. This let him continue treasure hunting while having the farm as a backup. That year, he couldn't resist returning to Mud Lake, but he found nothing and went home disappointed. Realizing he needed to make the farm productive, Duncan took a 3-year break from treasure hunting. During this time, he married a widow with 4 children, who managed the farm well, allowing Duncan to resume his search. When he returned to Mud Lake, others were searching extensively because word had leaked about his find. Despite trying to keep it secret, his sudden wealth made people suspicious. Some men offered to join him, but he turned them down, saying he doubted more treasure was there. Nevertheless, he went back to Mud Lake with his 12-year-old stepson, Hal. After leaving Roberts, Hal noticed they were being followed. They hid and saw 5 men with pack mules trailing them. Duncan and Hal slipped away to the north side of the lake and set up camp. Pretending to dig along the shore, they felt the tension of being watched. After 4 days, they left and saw a dozen riders with equipment. That night, they saw campfires where they had been digging, and by dawn, men were digging near the mouth of Camas Creek. Duncan found it amusing but frustrating, as it ended his hunting that year. Some men, thinking Duncan had more gold, ambushed him and Hal near Roberts. They searched them, found nothing, cursed Duncan, and left. Duncan and Hal went home. A week later, the other hunters left the lake. Despite threats from those who believed he knew where the loot was, Duncan insisted he didn't know its location. Over time, the story of the Mud Lake treasure faded, and fewer people searched. Yet Duncan never gave up. He often slipped away at night to continue searching, sometimes with Hal. When Hal was 20, they found a dozen large nuggets while panning a gravel bed. They also found a fragment of a leather bag with a pinch of gold dust, though it was far from where Duncan believed the loot was. He theorized high water had washed the bag there. During World War II, Hal joined the army. After the war, they used a mine detector to search the lake but found nothing. Duncan then tried dragging a large magnet across the lake, recovering some gold nuggets but nothing substantial. In the center of the lake, the magnet got caught in a crevice and was lost, ending their search for good. Duncan knew more about the vanished gold than anyone else. He spent his life hunting for it, covering the area thoroughly. While others gave up or thought the treasure was a myth, Duncan was convinced it was in or near the lake until his death in 1928. In the summer of 1942, another treasure hunter announced in Roberts that he had found the gold. Claiming to have secret information, he hired men, leased equipment, and spent thousands on a large-scale excavation. He believed Tarleton was not on the old emigrant road, and that Godin's station of the 1860s was farther west near the lake's lower end. Despite all the excitement, his project failed like the others. He was convinced he would find the stagecoach loot and turned down offers from those wanting to join him. His attempt was the last major effort to solve the century-old mystery. In Idaho, stories about the bandit loot in Mud Lake are common, especially in Idaho Falls and Roberts. In the ghost town of Tarleton, locals believe the treasure is still in the lake or on the shore in the old Lake Phil. Many have searched for it, but it remains undiscovered. Orba Duncan is the only person known to have found any part of the treasure, and he recovered only a small portion. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, truetalesofburiedtreasure.com.